Hello dear students, welcome to the lecture 1 of Introduction to Programming course. In this course, you will learn how to program, you will learn the fundamentals of programming, you will learn how to be a software engineer. This course is the most important course of your career. Why is that? Because in this course, you will learn how to do programming, how to code, how to compose a software. So this is your most important lesson among all of the courses you are going to take, because this lesson will teach you how to program. Okay, so if you want to be a good programmer, a good software engineer, you have to perfect this course. You have to give your most attention to this course. Okay, so in this lecture, we are not going to start programming, but we will see different programming languages. We will have ideas about them. Also, we will install the software that we will use to program a software. For programming, we will use IDE, Integrated Development Environment. Let's check it from Wikipedia. These softwares allows us to program with easiness, with features. So, in this course, I will teach you C#. I will teach you programming in C# language because I believe it is one of the best and most popular programming languages currently used in the world. It is easier, effective, fast, robust, and complex enough, advanced. All the features you need, C# provides you. However, of course, there are different programming languages for different tasks. We will have a look at them. So, in this course, we will use Microsoft Visual Studio as an IDE, Integrated Development Environment. It is for free. You can get it for free. Alright, I'm going to make this English. So I will show you how to install and how to start it. So I'm going to click Download Visual Studio Community Edition. Community Edition is free for individuals, developers, academic users, and open source. So I clicked it and it started download and I'm opening it. And it is here. I'm right clicking it and running as administrator. Okay, so we click continue. It is just downloading files. If you don't have an unlimited internet connection, you can bring your computer to the school and install here. But you have to have a computer and install this software. It is mandatory for this lesson, for this course. Alright. So we will select some packages that we need. For this course, any source you can find online is good for you. So we don't stick to a single source for this course, like a book or ebook, etc. Okay, so from here, what packages do we need? In this course, we will use .NET Desktop Development. In here, we select all these. Some of them may not be required, but installing them is not a problem. And I will also install this one for myself because this is required for me for another courses. And if you want, you can also install this Python development, not CS development. But for this course, they are not mandatory. And I'm going to install .NET Core as well. You can also install this. Okay, so what we have chosen is this. Yeah, install these packages, this and this. Okay, so it is about 9 gigabytes. We can select install while downloading. Do we need any other? No. When installing, you can also select all of these. What I have selected, it should be enough. I'm going to click install. Always use English in your computer, in your software as a language. Why? Because to be a good software engineer, you have to know English. It is mandatory. You cannot be a good software engineer with just knowing Turkish. There aren't enough resources and there aren't enough frameworks and documentation in Turkish. Alright, meanwhile this is installing in the background, we will check out the programming languages. So there are many different programming languages. Some of them focuses on certain problems, some of them are general programming languages, but usually for the task you need to complete, you have to use the best one for that task. For example, if you are going to build a website, you can use several programming languages such as ASP.NET, PHP. These two are the most used ones. Or you are going to develop an embedded software, an embedded device software, you probably will need to use C++ or C. It depends of the task. Okay. There is one website that I strongly suggest you to register and use it. It is called as Stack Overflow. This is the best website for programmers, software engineers. I suggest you to sign up to this website. Sign up is free, as you can see, and start using it. You can ask your own questions or search for the questions that you need. For example, I have an account on this website, this one, and as you can see, I have asked 485 questions during the 10 years of my membership. I am member to this website since I was a student. By the way, I have graduated from Istanbul Technical University in 2009, and you can see my profile on LinkedIn. Here. Oh, it doesn't show here. Okay, let's look my profile from Twitter website. It requires. Okay, when we click my name, we will be redirected to my YÖK academic, and you can see I have graduated from Istanbul Technical University. My master was in Mersin University and my PhD was in Çukurova University. And okay, so this is my profile on Stack Overflow. You can see how many points I have and my most used tags: C#, HTML, ASP.NET, VPF. You see my questions that I have asked during the years. You can also check my questions because many of them will be useful for you in the future. You can ask your own questions on this platform. People would like you to answer your questions, but before asking your question, make sure that you have searched the internet, the previous questions thoroughly, and that question is not answered before. You will learn it how to use it in the time. So today we will see the programming languages trends, because you know that you don't have to stick to a certain language. Let's see, is 2020 is okay. Okay, there is developer survey. Okay, not this one I'm looking for. This is the one I am looking for. Okay. Developer survey. There is Stack Overflow trends. Okay. Okay, on this page it shows the trend of programming languages. For example, let's see assembly. As you can see, assembly is the lowest because assembly is used to directly program hardware, and it is used by very few people. You can safely ignore it for now. Perl, very old language. As you can see, it is decreasing. Visual Basic Net, it is decreasing, very old. Ruby as well. C is still used, but it is very low level language. It is harder to do things in C language. It still have some popularity. However, it is very hard and time consuming. If your job is not necessarily requiring you to do in C programming, I don't suggest it. Swift is rising and then decreasing. R is rising in popularity. Objective-C decreasing. C++ always have some popularity, but it is decreasing as the necessity to use it decreases. PHP was very popular website programming language, and still it is. Java is also one of the most popular programming language, and it still continue. There are two main desktop software languages. Actually, Python can be also accepted, but I would say two main languages, which one are Java and C#. So if you know either C# or Java, you would likely to find a job pretty easily. JavaScript rising in popularity. It is used in desktop programming as well currently, and also it is one of the main programming languages in website development. Python is rising popularity greatly because it is getting lots of usage area both from programmers and non-programmers. It has so many frameworks and other features. So Python, C Sharp. As you can see, C Sharp has some decrease in popularity. However, it is still one of the best languages. C Sharp, Python, and this is also about the number of asked questions. So this is not exactly the popularity. This represents how many new people starting to use these languages more likely. And there is also C Sharp, Python, or Java are the languages that you need to know at least one of them. Okay, let's see the developer survey. So nearly 65,000 developers contributed to this survey. This has been done in February before COVID-19, as you know. Okay, let's see. Okay, so the beloved language is Rust. What is Rust, if you ask? Did they show? We can check from Wikipedia. Okay. No, not this one. Okay, here. Rust is a multi-paradigm programming language focusing on performance and safety, especially for safe concurrency. Concurrency means parallel execution. Rust is synthetically similar to C++ and provides memory safety, uses garbage collection. Okay, Rust is not a very general application programming language. If you would need to use it, you would search for it. There is TypeScript, Python. As you can see, Python is always very popular. Kotlin, Go, Julia, Dart, C Sharp, Swift, and JavaScript. These are the top beloved softwares of developers. For each these of software, you should look at their description and applications. In this course, I will teach you in C Sharp. However, you won't have to do your semester project in C Sharp. You can use any of the programming languages to deliver your projects. Because this course is about introduction to programming, it is not about C Sharp. I teach in C Sharp. However, it is up to you to learn other languages, become expert of them, and do your projects in that language. So you are free to do your project in any of the programming languages. I accept them, as long as you can do the project. There is TypeScript. Let's check out the TypeScript. Okay, here. No, I need to check the programming language. Okay, and TypeScript here. Okay, it still shows this. Oh, okay. So you can check each of them. And let's see, Old Faithful, New Schools, Tight, Reality Rangers, DevOps Specialists remain among the highest paid. Okay. So, at the number 2 spot, however, this year's survey saw interesting change. Last year, Python and TypeScript shared the silver medal in statistical death hat. In 2020, TypeScript has surged in popularity, leaving Python in third place. If you want to learn about TypeScript, listen or read podcasts with Skipper of Glitch. So when I search it, yeah, I can find the podcast.
Has there ever been a thin eyebrows on dudes trend?
Oh yeah. You never watched Jersey Shore?
Okay, as you can see, it explains. TypeScript surge in popularity highlights Microsoft's change of direction and embrace of open source movement. As front-end web and Node.js code bases grow in size and complexity, adopting TypeScript static typing gives developers increased confidence in their code's correctness. TypeScript's ability to be adopted incrementally means developers can dip their toes in, gaining immediate benefits without having to undertake a risky porting project. As a final sweetener, TypeScript polyfills many ECMAScript changes like arrow functions, asynchron, and classes before they are widely available in browsers. Okay, this is also another programming language. Python does have static typing. Doesn't have though, it does have hints, which makes it odd one out of three. Okay, let's check the second part of the survey. Old faithful, new school, site. 1 second, I have to pause. Okay, we continue to our course. Site reliability engineers and DevOps specialists remain among the highest paid individual contributor roles. Almost 80 of the respondents believe that DevOps is at least somewhat important, and 44% work at organizations with at least one dedicated DevOps employee. The reasons for this trend are no surprise. In an era of constant connectivity, users expect their apps and services to be available anytime and any place. And remember, this survey was run before widespread COVID-19 lockdowns. We would accept DevOps to be even more important in a world where many teams have suddenly gone completely remote. So what is DevOps? DevOps is a set of practices that combine software development and IT operations. It aims to shorten systems development lifecycle and provide continuous delivery with high software quality. DevOps is complementary with Agile software development. Several DevOps aspects came from Agile methodology. So, if you be a DevOps expert, you would get one of the best payments. It is the current trend. However, to be a DevOps, you have to be expert in programming and software engineering. Okay, I'm checking whether any information. Okay. I'm checking whether any good source. As you can see, there is job advertisement, DevOps engineers. As you can see, DevOps engineer, they are looking for DevOps engineers. So we can see what are they looking for. You can see best practice and code standards. So you may start determining your career and focus on those areas after you take this course. This course will give you an idea. Okay. When asked what steps to take, when stuck on a coding problem. 90% of respondents indicated they visit Stack Overflow. As you can see, this is what I said to you before. 90% of developers, when they have a problem, when they are stuck, which will happen to you many times, they are going to Stack Overflow and checking whether that problem, that question were asked or they asked their own question. As you can see, many of them found their answer as the purple link as the first result. So many of the questions were asked before. While finding a solution on Stack Overflow saves developers time, developers spend a lot of time working. More than 75 of developers said they work overtime at least occasionally 1 to 2 days per quarter. 25 work overtime 1-2 days per week or more. As developers around the world shift to working from home, it is becoming harder to draw boundaries between work and life and balance too. So this is another issue. Being a software engineer, a developer is extremely hard job. It is true. You have chosen an extremely job. After you have graduated, it never ends. You have to constantly develop yourself, improve your skills, follow the new trends. So this is not a job like others that after you have graduated, you don't have to develop yourself, increase your skills, just do the same thing, same stuff over and over. This is a constant job. It is very hard. Yes, you have chosen a very hard profession, but it is the profession of future. As the artificial intelligence develops further, other jobs will perish. They will get eradicated from the earth because robots, artificial intelligence having programs, robots will do those jobs. For example, truck driving is one of the first jobs that will be taken over by AI. Okay, let's show what I mean. Some have forecast that autonomous vehicles will eliminate 2 to 3 million trucking jobs over the next several years. What does this mean? This means that when autonomous vehicles such as Tesla's famous car become publicly available, cheap and safe to drive on road without a driver, what will happen? They will not pay people because people are expensive. They are fragile. They cannot work 24 hours. You have to pay taxes for people, but for vehicles, you will just buy a vehicle and it will work 24 hours a day without getting ever tired, without making any mistakes, safely and cheaply. So, as you can see, many of the current jobs will be eliminated as the AI progress. However, software engineering, coding will be one of the top jobs for a very, very long time because who will develop autonomous vehicle? Software engineers, programmers. And also, software engineering is one of the best paid jobs in the world. Let's see top paid professions in the world. Of course, it depends on where you are living, in which country you are living, but let's see. This website is not very good showing Fox Business. Let's check this one. Okay, as you can see, in US, anesthesiologists are getting most payments because it's extremely risky job. You may kill the patient. Surgeons, of course, physicians, and engineering manager, IT systems. As you can see, IT is number 7. Let's check this one. Okay. Okay, IT manager, marketing manager. This list doesn't look correct. Okay, these are all related to medical science. In US, medical science is the best paid job. Petrol is also very good, as you can see, because they have a lot of petrol company, and information systems managers. As you can see, it comes after medical science. One of the good aspects of software engineering is that it is global. You can go to any country and start working immediately if you know English. Because it's a global job, it doesn't depend on country, on location. You can also work remotely to the to the companies in other countries. All you need to have is good skills in programming, in software engineering, and have good English. English is extremely important. So from now on, when you watch TV series, a movie, always watch it in English and with English subtitles. Do not watch with Turkish subtitles. Stop watching with Turkish subtitles. Even if you don't understand what you are watching, pause it, look to the dictionary, learn the words, and continue watching. It will help you tremendously. It will develop your skills incredibly. You will be shocked, believe me. Okay, let's continue to the survey. Okay, some parting thoughts. While we continue to make progress on diversity and inclusion, we still have a long way to go. This year's survey was taken by just over 65,000 people. These are all developers, by the way. In our efforts to reach beyond Stack Overflow network and seek representation from a greater diversity of coders, we advertised the survey less on our own channels than in previous years and sought ways to earn responses from those who may not frequent to our sites, which is very unlikely but possible. This approach includes social promotion and outreach on underrepresented coders. While we saw a lift in underrepresented groups, the difference in representation isn't as large as we had hoped. Because many of the coders already using Stack Overflow. It is the greatest source for programmers, believe me. Okay, let's continue. Full data set for the developer survey now available. Let's check it out. Where are the results? They were giving a lot of results, not just this one. Okay, let's check the 2019. Okay, 2020 is not complete as 2019. So developer types, full stack. What does full stack mean is the developer knows both front end and back end programming. What is front end, back end? This page you see is front end programming. It is the interface that is shown to the clients, to the users. And there is also back end of this screen, which is run on a remote computer, on a server, and processes all this information in the background. So you can be front-end developer, which will work on the UI, user interface mostly, and you may also expertise yourself in backend, which will focus on the backend programming, the backend side of the programming, or full stack. As you can see, full stacks are more preferred because they know the both sides, and but you have to be expert, and they can work with either side in more synchronization, etc. Developer desktop or enterprise applications. So this is also another area which focuses on enterprise applications, mobile applications, students, database administrators. Database administration is also another area that you can become expert, because databases are used everywhere. Without database, you can't save data properly. You can't access data fast enough. Designers design the interface mostly. System administrators manage system. DevOps specialist, as you can see, it is low person because it's a harder job. You have to have expertise on many of the things to become a DevOps. Embedded applications or devices. This area is not suitable in Turkey because it requires you to manufacture lots of hardware, and we are not manufacturing hardwares in most areas. Data scientist or machine learning specialist, this is a great area. This will be the area of future because the data we have, the scientist gets, increases over the time exponentially as the softwares are developing and the hardware power is increasing. That is why in the recent years, machine learning, artificial intelligence has become very popular. Actually, many of the artificial intelligence algorithms uses very old algorithms. What I mean is, for example, the algorithm of artificial intelligence has been founded 30 years ago, 40 years ago, but utilizing it was impossible because it requires tremendous amount of hardware, power, and software maturity. Alright. Developer questions or tests. QA is quality assignment. Quality assurance, okay. Or test. Data business analysts. These are the professions of the responded to this survey, okay. And they have asked whether the developers contribute to open source or not. Contributing to open source is extremely useful. Why? Because it develops your skills, improves your group working abilities. You work with other people in synchronization, and you read a lot of well-structured, good, clean code, which is very important to become a good software engineer. You don't just solve the problem, you solve it in a good way, with clean code, with good performance. So it is not just about solving a problem, it is also about how to solve that problem in the best way. There are also coding as hobbyists, which means they code for their job and also they code for as a hobby. And experience, less than 5 years, is 20% who answered this survey. As you can see, 50 years or more is very, very rare in programming. It is expected. Okay. They also asked years coding professionally, and professional coders are very young, as you can see. Okay. These are all about the survey statistics. Okay, this is important. As you can see, about 9% of survey joined coders started coding when they were younger than 10 years old. Can you imagine that? They started coding in the primary school. This makes huge difference. Actually, we should teach our children starting from primary school. Probably this will make a difference in the countries. As you can see, United States average is 15 years old. The earliest one is Australia with 14 years old. Okay. So these are the ages. When I have started when I started the university, which is this one. If I had started coding when I was younger, I would have better skills over the time. You are still not late though. Okay. These are how many of them? Students, educational attainment. As you can see, some of the coders have never ever taken any formal education. Can you imagine that? They never went to any school. But most of them have bachelor's degree, which is you are going to study right now, master's degree, professional degree, and doctoral degree. Undergraduate major, these are the areas that they are studying in the university: computer science, computer engineering, or software engineering. Our area is software engineering currently. Another engineering discipline also information systems, web development, or web design, but majorly this. As you can see, this is also very important. 85% of participants learned themselves a programming language, a new language or framework. So we will give you the fundamentals, the core of programming, but you will need to improve your skills yourself in future. This is why this profession is very hard when compared to other professions. You have to always develop your skills, follow the new trends, follow the developments, and continue learning. As you can see, 85% had to learn new stuff themselves without formal education. Taking an online course is one of the most used way because there are so many courses. For example, I am opening YouTube and I am typing introduction to programming, and I'm looking for playlists. For example, as you can see, there is Virtual University which has 45 lessons, and let's filter by playlist. Okay, as you can see, there are many playlists. You can also type in Turkish as well, for example. Okay. You see there is C programlama, C language, but I would not suggest you to learn C. I would suggest you to learn Java, either Java or C# or Python. Do not focus on C++ or C. They are harder and they are not that necessary. Okay. So there are many courses. Also, another great source is Udemy. This is also used frequently by students. You can type here your language and it will bring you many courses, usually from great prices, and they are useful, believe me. But you don't have to take an online course for C# because I will be teaching you every aspect. These videos will be on YouTube, all of them with highest quality, or you will be able to ask me any questions you want, come to my room or ask me by email, or I am planning to do leave questions and answers on our school system, but these videos alone should be enough for you because I will do the every software programming in this computer and put on YouTube. Okay, let's continue. Okay, contribute to open source software. This is a great way to develop yourself to improve your skills. You can join open source software. Okay, there is also demographics and gender, developer role, experience, orientation, disability. As you can see, there are even younger than 15 years old participants. And also older than 60 years old, which is very rare. Age by country, you see India is the lowest because in software engineering, in programming, India is very, very competitive. For example, there is freelancer.com, which you can take jobs and get payment, and you will see that Indians are giving very competitive prices for the tasks. Okay. Evaluating competence, feeling competence. Okay. Families, IT support. People use Reddit. Developers use Reddit because Reddit is very useful platform for many stuff. For example, let's Reddit and C# and let's open it. Okay, there are over 100,000 people, and you see there are questions, comments. You can also ask your questions here or search for things. And these are the other. For example, this is Chinese. LinkedIn use it a lot. Okay. Okay, here we come the most popular technologies among developers. JavaScript is very popular because you have to know JavaScript to compose a website. JavaScript is one of the main languages used in programming websites. However, in recent years, with other frameworks, JavaScript also used in desktop programming and other programmings. HTML, CSS is also mandatory for programming a website. For example, when I right-click and inspect, I will see the HTML code of this website. Let's take it here and here. You see these are all HTML and CSS. These are all HTML code and the styles are shown here from different files. And there is also JavaScript functions. So, where was it? To develop a website, you have to know JavaScript, HTML, CSS. SQL is also very popular because you have to know how to manage a database. I will show you SQL maybe in this year as well or in the next semester. Introduction to Programming 2 or Advanced Programming, name it as. So SQL is the query language for managing databases such as MySQL or MS SQL. Python is also very popular, as I said. Why? Because if you are not a programmer, you still can use Python for such tasks, for example, for statistics or for machine learning. You know, doctors are working on DNA and DNA analysis. To do DNA analysis, they use machine learning algorithms, and machine learning algorithms have lots of frameworks to be used with Python. Python is also easy to learn. In this lesson, you may also choose learning Python and doing your project in Python. However, I would not suggest you to learn another language because it is really hard. Just in this course, just try to learn fully C# because in this course you will learn the fundamentals of programming such as functions, methods, variables, data types, and user interface interactions and such things. So you will start to understand logic of algorithms, but you are still free because this is introduction to programming, not the C#. I allow anyone to do in any language. Java is also extremely popular. These are used usually in system management, for example, commands to execute stuff in Windows or Windows Server. As you can see, C#. PHP is a very popular language for developing websites, web pages. C++ still very popular because if your task requires higher performance with lower memory consumption or hard drive consumption, C++ is still chosen. TypeScript is also becoming popular. C is very specific language at the moment. So if your job is not requiring it, I don't, especially this semester, I don't suggest you to spend time on C or C++ because they are harder to learn and they are not that useful in nowadays. Okay, for example, we can look for on Freelancer how many job offers. Let's check. Let's check the jobs and make it English. Okay, I am going to filter by C programming. Okay. Let's see how many jobs there are. There are 416. Let's make it, for example, C#. There are 476. Okay. Let's make it 1 second. Okay, C programming. Okay. There is also C++. Okay, 407. Okay, there is also .NET Core 31. And let's, for example, look for Java. Java may be higher. Okay, there are 641. Or let's check the PHP. Okay, there are 4,000 because most of the jobs in web development. Let's check for ASP.NET, which is the equivalent of which is done with C#. There are 100 and ASP.NET MVC 11. Let's check Python. Okay, there are 700. So you can check for jobs and focus your career on that, but it's up to you. There is also, you see, there is web scraping task. For example, web scraping can be done in many languages. You can do web scraping in Java, in C#, in Python. It is not dependent on a language. Okay. So TypeScript, C, Ruby, Go, Assembly. Assembly is very, very low level language. You don't need to focus on that. So my suggestions would be JavaScript, HTML, CSS for web development. SQL is mandatory for database management. Either one of these three, Python, Java, or C#. Either one of these three, you need to become expert. And for other languages, you can look them. If you like them, you can go with them. And there is also professional developers. It doesn't change much. Okay, there are web frameworks. Frameworks are programming packages that is developed by experts to give you functionality in that language. With frameworks, you can do many tasks with writing a lot lesser code, with a lot lesser complexity. So frameworks will be heavily used in your career. From web frameworks, jQuery is one of the most popular. React.js also used in many other stuff. AngularJS, ASP.NET. ASP.NET is a web development framework by using C#. Express, Spring, Vue.js, Django is also becoming very popular. Laravel is also very popular. It is used with PHP. And there are also frameworks, libreoffice tools, Node.js, .NET. .NET is the framework used by all Microsoft systems. C#, ASP.NET, .NET Core is a new stuff. It also includes .NET features and works on Linux computers as well. If you use .NET Core, it is multi-platform. Unity 3D for mobile game development, for example. Reactive Native, TensorFlow is used for machine learning and artificial intelligence stuff. Xamarin, Apache, Unreal Engine, Flutter. You can search each of them at your home and have an idea. It would be useful for you. For database software, MySQL is very popular because it is free. PostgreSQL is also free. And Microsoft SQL. You see, all of them have SQL words because they use SQL language, which is structured query language. This is a language used among multiple different software, they show tiny differences but almost same in among these different software. For example, you can write a code without any changes that supports MySQL and Microsoft SQL Server in functionality. SQLite also used a lot for simple tasks, easy to deploy, very easy. MongoDB, MariaDB, very popular. Oracle and Microsoft SQL Server are very expensive but very strong. And others platforms, Linux, very a lot used, a lot preferred, a lot because it is free. You can deploy your web server on a Linux server without paying any license costs. Windows, very popular. Docker, Android, AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, Mac OS, Apple software, Slack, Raspberry Pi, WordPress. WordPress is a platform, rather. Okay. Most loved Rust, Python, TypeScript, Kotlin, WebAssembly. Wow, WebAssembly. Why they love it? Swift, Elixir, C#, JavaScript, Reddit, Visual Basic. Yes, this is not like it because it is a mess. Yes. Objective-C, assembly, as you can see, they are the most unwanted ones. PHP is also not very like it because it is very hard to develop a very big project in PHP. It is possible with recent frameworks, but it is a mess usually. C++, Java. As you can see, C# is very user-friendly, thus it is less dreaded. And there is also wanted, the people want to learn. Okay, there is also web frameworks, loved React.js, as it has become very popular. Vue.js, Express, Spring, ASP.NET, Django, very popular. Laravel, very popular. And Reddit, Drupal, jQuery. Yes, the jQuery is also hard to use. Okay, .NET Core, like it a lot because it supports multi-platforms such as Android or Linux or Windows. And Reddit is Chef. I don't know even this. CryEngine, yes, the documentation was very poor for CryEngine as far as I know. Okay, documentation of the selected framework is very important because you will learn how to use that framework with its documentation. Okay, databases, loved Redis, PostgreSQL, Elasticsearch, Firebase. As you can see, many databases. In my courses, you can use any of these databases of programming languages. I don't restrict my students for any particular programming language or database. As long as you can do your job, you can accomplish your task, it is fine which one you use. Of course, performance and easiness changes according to the database or software you choose, programming language you choose. Platforms, Linux, Tata, Raspberry Pi. Okay, development environment and tools. As you can see, Visual Studio Code and Visual Studio are most loved ones. We have installed our Visual Studio. Let's, for example, start a project. I'm going to launch it to show you the interface. We will start coding in the next lesson. You can see there is open project, open folder, clone repository, create new project, continue without code, and other stuff. This is continuing without code, main interface. This is the best integrated development environment out there. From my viewpoint, also from the other developers' viewpoint, as you can see, Notepad++ is also very useful I would suggest you to open it. 1 second. I use Notepad++ a lot of times to open text files. IntelliJ Sublime is also very good text editor. PyCharm also very good. People use it. Developers use it. NetBeans use it for Java, but I don't know. It may not be that good. You see, it changes according to, of course, developer type. Developer's primary operating system, Windows. Yes, I also primarily develop in Windows. It doesn't change much. Containers. Okay, they use containers for development, testing, production. I also don't use it. As you can see, many of them doesn't use it. Blockchain. Okay, I don't use blockchain as well. Okay, here are the top paying technologies in the world. So Clojure. Why Clojure may be the top paid? Because probably there are very less amount of Clojure jobs. So people who know Clojure gets most payment. In the United States it changes. You see, these are very rare languages, so if you can get a job in them, but they are very rare, you get the most payment. Scala, Clojure, Go, Erlang, Objective-C, WebAssembly, Kotlin, Rust, F#, Elixir, Ruby, C, C++, Swift. As you can see, Java is one of the most popular, and it gets decent. Python as well. Assembly and Python are same, but assembly is very hard language. SQL, C#, R, HTML, CSS. In the world, in the global, C# has a better place. So the payment usually changes according to the country you live in. For example, they said that this is average, but in Turkey it is much lesser, of course, in terms of dollars. So you may choose your expertise programming language according to the place that you are planning to live. If you are planning to live in Turkey, you may look for the job offers and pick the programming language that you want to become expert. Or if you want to, let's say, live in Germany, you can look for the Germany job offers and pick the one that you want to become expert. But for this course, it is not important because you will learn how to program. When you learn the fundamentals, the logic of programming, you can learn other programming languages with much easiness, because in the core concept, they are all same. You define a task with using English sentences, English words, and the computer translates it into the hardware instructions. So the concept is same. You are typing in English words to do a task. For example, let's compare with C# and Python. Okay, let's check there, for example. For example, this is written in let's open a better space. Okay, say hello world in 28 different programming languages. Okay, so for example, in Algol, you see begin display hello world and it is full English. Aspect G, hello world Java public class hello world public static void say. You see it, they are doing the same thing. And This is another script language. This is assembly. As you can see in assembly is the most different one because it is the lowest language. All programming languages turn into assembly language, then it turns into the 0 and 1s. So assembly is the lowest language. You see, this is the language that will get you highest performing and most efficient software that is still human readable. But it is very hard to write. How is this human readable? It says push, message, call, printf function, add this and return. It's hard. Bash, basic, print, and C, printf. Hello, C++, C Sharp, and Calm, Clojure, COBOL. You see, they all use human readable words. As you can see, it changes according to the structure of the programming language. Fortran is a very old one, but it all uses English languages. And this is the machine code. Yes, this is the lowest code possible. As you can see, machine code is lowest level of instruction you can send to a CPU. All of the code you write turns into this. These are the instructions to CPU. You see, they are hexadecimal moving into X. So, for example, you write this code, it turns into the assembly code and then turns into the machine code. As you can see, all software is eventually turned into machine code before it is sent to CPU. So, you write this code and this programming language assembler turns that into the machine code. Every programming language has some, let's say, assembler. Okay, so in Python, for example, it is written as like this. Okay. So they say that these are connected. For example, Unity 3D, Unreal Engine, CryEngine are connected. Why? Because all three of them used to develop games, game engines. Raspberry Pi and Arduino is connected. Why? Because they are, let's say, mini computers that you can do a lot of tasks. For example, let's say you want to open a door automatically. So you put there a Raspberry Pi and a door opener controller. You connect them and send your command to the controller via Raspberry Pi and such things. So they say these are related C, C++ assembly because C is most, let's say, close language to the assembly. Microsoft SQL Server, and these are related, etc. Employment, these are really still statistics of this survey. Software development companies, information tech companies. You see, financial and banking also employs a lot of software engineers because currently banking and finance is all about online interactions, software. So in back end and in front end, they need really good people. Web development and design, consulting, data and analytics, healthcare, media, advertising, publishing, retail, internet, education, training. In every area, there is a demand for software engineers. In every area, almost. Company size, you see that many of the people are freelancers. So let's say they get jobs on freelancer.com or another site, or they solo develop 2-9 employees and others. Career values, very dissatisfied. You see, many of the software engineers are satisfied with their jobs. It is about, not satisfied are about 15%. Job satisfaction is very high, but it is very hard. You will see that. How confident? You see, they are very confident. Okay. Well, personally, I would like to become manager in future. Why? Because coding is exhausting. When you are young, it is easier to code, but as you get older, coding becomes exhausting. It has become tiring. So rather than coding, you want to manage coders. You want to check their codes, manage them, lead them. So becoming manager in later life is the preferred thing from my viewpoint, but it may change. As you can see, some said yes, some said no, and some said not sure. Usually coders always look for new opportunities, look for new jobs, higher payments. So it is also like here. Okay. You see 32% of them changed a job. In other jobs, careers, you usually go with same job for a very long time because you don't have to learn new things, you don't have to do new stuff. But in software engineering, you have to always be very active learner, learn new things, apply new things. So people try to get a better job, a better payment, usually with as a software engineer, and it is possible in this career. Okay, job priorities. People usually look with the technologies they are already familiar. As you can see, that is the number one job preference. So let's say you are going to look for a new job, you are looking for a job that you already know, that you are already accustomed to. Office and environment or company culture is also very important. Flex time and flexible schedule, important. Opportunities, remote work options, and etc. Okay. Some of them in 2019, most of the developers were never working remotely, but I am sure in 2020, many of them working remotely due to coronavirus. Some say they prefer to work home, some say prefer to work office. I would say that if you are a software engineer and you are doing side jobs, you work in office and home. You have no life. Yes, that is true. Because you can always work at home, and it's actually a good thing and a bad thing. Let's say you are a medical doctor. When you go to home, you can't work at home. So you are free. Even if you wanted to not to be free, you are free. But if you are a software engineer, you go home and you can continue working. Yes, it is very bad thing in a way and good thing in another way. But you usually work. Development practices, how structured is the work developer? There is no schedule or specifications. You see, developer practices is matters if you are working on a very big project, if you are working on a professional company. But if you are freelancer, it is not very important. Greatest challenges to productivity. So what affects your performance, your productivity? Distracted work environment is the number one reason. Let's say you are working in a crowded place and there are a lot of noises and interferences it affects your productivity. Meetings, yes, usually programmers do not like meetings. Being tasked with non-development work, yes, you see, if you are given a task that is not development, you don't like it. Actually, this is also very true. Not enough people for the workload. Usually, programmers are put with a lot of workload because they are harder to find and they are expensive. So, companies want to give lots of workload to their available developers. Lack of support from management and adequate access to necessary tools, toxic work environment, time spent commuting, and other things. Okay, code review. You should make code review. What does code review mean? You review the code of others. You review your code. You try to find bugs, errors, or try to improve performance, cleanness of the code, accurateness of the code, and other stuff that you will learn in future. Okay, there is salary and experience by language. Experience by language also very important. So with lesser experience, you can get a job with which language? Let's say Java, Python, PHP, Dart, but you need more experience for other stuff to get a good payment. For example, for Clojure, you need more than 10 years experience. For F#, say. For C#, you need about 7 years experience. Hours worked per week. You see, some people even work more than 70 hours. Yes. Less than 30 hours. Most usually 40, 44 hours. It depends totally on you in many cases. Okay. Okay, why do developers visit Stack Overflow? Stack Overflow find answers to specific questions. Yes, as you can see. Because you will encounter with many questions that you cannot solve immediately. And what will you do? You will look for an answer. That is very normal and you should search in English. It is very important. And you see there are other type reasons for visiting, for example, contribute to a library of information. Library of information means Stack Overflow itself. Okay, and others here. Okay. Okay, I want to show you another thing. I want you to watch a video series. You can also access our previous year course. For example, Introduction to Programming in 2019. 1 second. Okay, let's continue. So this is the GitHub repository of 2019 Introduction to Programming. There is a video series I would like you to watch. Okay. You type, go to YouTube, Computer Science Playlist by Crash Course. You will also see that. And you will see these 41 videos list. This is an absolutely awesome video series because it teaches you many aspects of computer science, both in programming and in hardware. Okay. So it starts with early computing. How did computers started? What's computing? electronic computing, Boolean logic, logic gates. Let's say you just focus on software engineering. Yes, you may not need to know some of these, but if you know them, it will be useful for you, believe me. So I want you to watch every video here at least twice. They have both English subtitle and Turkish subtitle.
So, you're probably wondering how header bidding management platform from Adtelligent can maximize your ad.
Okay. It says representing numbers and letters with
Hi,
binary.
I'm Carrie Ann. This
So you always hear one
do
and
the
zeros,
things.
right?
We just need to values a single.
And how
We
they
put
are
the sum as
represented. This video series explains you greatly. Why computer is composed of one and zeros, you understand it. There is also captions. I would suggest you to watch in English subtitle, but there are also oh, no Turkish. I think they had, but now. So
one and
watch
carry
with English
250.
subtitles and you will learn a lot of things. Believe me. This week, watch all of them, and next week watch again, and the other week watch again, and you will learn a lot of things about software engineering, how computer engineering, how does a computer works, and many other things. They have prepared an excellent video series. They have put a lot of time to prepare this series, and they are really awesome. Okay. And we are going to have our own repository here. Let me compose it. 1 second. Okay, we have this year's repository here as well. So all of the resources I will be giving you will be put on here. Let's open it again. Furkan Yusukara GitHub. You type it, open it, you click repositories, and you will see Introduction to Programming 2020. Everything will be posted here. I will post the YouTube links. I will put here the software codes, examples, projects, and everything. Everything will be put on here. You can also see the last year's files. For example, here you can see source codes of lectures in previous years. You can see project what I have given them and other stuff. So GitHub is the place that I put all the resources, all the announcements, and everything. You can also put your projects on GitHub. I will show you how to work with GitHub briefly, but you can search for it on YouTube. Let's say how to use GitHub. You will see lots of tutorials and other things to put your code, manage your code. GitHub is a code management platform that you can manage your own code or collaborate with other people, other developers. You can also look for open projects on here, open source code projects. For example, let's say C# and Crawler. I am typing, and there are search for all GitHub, and okay, there are repositories 600. You can join them and use their code, contribute them, read their code. You will learn them by the time. But as I said, these video tutorials is extremely important by Crash Course. I strongly suggest you to watch all of these video series. Learning playlists. Okay, learning objects.
Hello world, I'm Carrie Ann Philbin and welcome to Crash Course Computer Science.
Okay, let's upload our first code. So I am going to compose. let's find our repository. And where was it? It was here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the cache, which is used to manage management. I'm going to see. I'm cd means move into that directory. So it's moved into this directory. As you can see, my current place is now here. You see? Okay, and I'm going to say git clone. Is there master? Yes, there is master branch. So I'm going to say git clone git clone xc. Not this one. Is you can also clone repositories. So it is going to again use command. Sorry about that. Like this. Okay, this was the command. Sorry, I don't remember. Clone, and then you will see the files uploaded there here, as you can see. Okay, it cloned like this. So I am going to move it into here. Deleting the folder. Okay, when I say here, it will show the files, its status. It will show it's up to date, and I'm going to put the video series that I will be copying from 2019. Okay, I'm going to compose link, and I'm going to copy this. I'm going to edit it with Notepad++. This is the best Notepad text editor for myself. And then I'm going to say meaning I am saving. So when I say its status, let's clear the screen. It will show us that there is a new file. So I'm going to say git add git commit xc lecture 1. And I say git push master. So the file I have created here will be uploaded to GitHub repository. I'm returning to 2020 repository, and you see the new file has arrived here. So you can click here and like this, you can open it, go to, and it will start you the playlist. Of course, I have
whenever you listen to a pitch of a startup.
As you can see. And
Hello world, I'm Carrie-Anne Philbin.
Course 1, course 2. Okay. Watch every one of them. It is total about 7 hours, but it totally worth it. Okay. So what else we have? Okay, there is nothing else for today. Hopefully we will start programming, compose our first program next week. So make sure that you have installed Visual Studio. It is ready to work. When you click new project, and let's say from templates, console app.NET Core, next, and just create. It should create like this. Okay, and Okay, it crashed. Weird. Which is not expected. 1 second. I say create. I say .NET Core, create. Creating project, okay, good. So, create your first project and make ready your Visual Studio. Make sure that it works. Okay, crashed again. This is, okay, it's opened. Okay, the first software opened. As you can see, it says console write line hello world. When I run it by clicking here, I will see on the screen that hello world is written. Okay, it is starting restoring packages. Finish it. Okay, and it works. First time it failed because it loaded some of the libraries and necessary files from the internet. Okay, it is written hello world, as you can see, and this is another message written. When I click a letter, it will close. Okay. We will see them, don't worry. So everything working fine. Make sure that your software is also working fine. It is ready to go. Okay, see you next week, hopefully. Have a good week and try to avoid crowd places. Try to avoid COVID-19. Stay safe. See you later.